Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I'm bringing you another Dragon Ball Z and Sonic segment today, as I am joined with two guests. Duct Tape, you might know him from the Comment Corner, and I am also joined by Jesse James. You may know him from my most recent video where I shouted him out as he requested a topic to talk about was Gohan a Super Saiyan 2 when he fought against Broly in Broly's Second Coming. So, Jesse actually wants to debate whether Sonic, or I should say Super Sonic, is stronger than Super Saiyan Goku. And originally he made a parody video on about my channel, and it was a very funny video. And obviously we all thought it was all fun and games, but he actually legitimately thinks that this is a serious debate. So, without wasting any more time, let's get straight into the video. And Duct Tape will be our moderator for today, as he has good knowledge of both shows. So, Jesse, start off and share your thoughts on how you think Sonic could beat a Super Saiyan.
Well, first of all, I want to say that all morals are off in this fight. So there's no Goku letting Superman go away because of kryptonite. Stupid, morals are off, and it's to the death. So no one's holding back. Also, I think we should use the strongest version of, so I'm talking Super Sonic versus Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and I guess in that we should also maybe consider their base forms, because I know the screw attack thing. We should probably mention the screw attack video. If anyone's seen the Vegeta versus Shadow video, you've seen that, right, Qaaman?
Yes, by screw attack.
Right. In that video, they pretty much said that they were kind of, I don't know, would you say equal until Shadow's super form wore off, or in the death battle?
Well, essentially, it was basically a survival. They essentially made it a survival fest where Vegeta, they said how he could take such a pounding, and he basically survived Super Shadow, and then once it timed out, he just blew him to pieces.
Right. What do you think of that death battle? Do you think that would be an accurate representation of this fight if it were to?
Well, honestly, I don't want to sound like a Dragon Ball Z fanboy, because obviously I would think that, a Dragon Ball Z character would win.
Right.
But honestly, I mean, I don't know enough about Sonic to say I know how strong being Super Sonic or Super Shadow makes him, but I think they did a pretty good job equating the fact that a Dragon Ball Z character like Vegeta, who's not the strongest, but would be, the strongest character in most universes, if he can hold his own for a while, that should basically be enough in terms of strength and speed to at least survive the onslaught.
Gotcha.
But my question for you is,
sure,
how strong does, absorbing the 7 Chaos Emeralds, becoming Super Sonic and Super Shadow actually make you?
Well, I'll tell you what, I can pretty much break it down into a couple categories. Obviously, Sonic is known for his speed, so we should start with that. Now, I'm just gonna start off by saying that in his super form, his speed is not calculatable. Essentially, it's infinite, so he can be as fast as he needs to be. So he's similar to the Flash in that aspect, where there's no speed cap for Sonic in his super form. So that being said, you kind of have to give speed to Sonic in terms of being faster than Goku. Now, a lot of people always say that because of Goku's instant transmission, that eliminates the other user's speed. But my argument against that is Sonic has a teleporting ability too. He has Chaos Control, and it's a lot more efficient method of teleporting because he doesn't have to lock onto someone's energy to use it. He can teleport anywhere, and he can also teleport other objects with him, or he can also teleport things away from him. So in terms of instant transmission being Goku's edge over Sonic's speed, I don't think that's a liable argument, because Sonic has a much better teleporting ability. But in terms of base form Sonic, right? Because we have to consider the following, because of the death battle. What if Super Sonic de-transforms before Super Saiyan Goku would? In his base form, Sonic is faster than light. He's actually faster than his own shadow. And I can actually send you comic book panels if you want to put these up right now while we're talking in the video. But he's actually faster than light to the degree where he's actually quicker than his own shadow. He actually, when he was being timed to see how fast he could run in his base form, he actually ran so fast that time around him literally stopped for a little bit, and then like it had to get going again. So like he ran time to a stop. So like just to get an idea of how fast he really is in his base form, you know, that's pretty much what we're looking at here. I mean, he's so fast he can literally outrun time itself. And in his super form, I can show you another panel here. It says he's at least 1,000 times faster than that. So whatever his true potential really is in supersonic form, you know, it's pretty much not calculatable. So in terms of speed, he has to be faster than Sonic. I mean, he has to be faster than Goku. You know, just because he is speed, like incarnate. So, but that's just one category. Another category would be strength. Now, in his base form, Sonic is not a strength kind of character, you know, but in his super form, he's actually been able to lift very heavy machines. Now, obviously, that's nothing compared to Goku, because Goku, well, then again, I don't really know how strong physically Goku is, but Super Sonic could lift at least a couple, you know, I would assume at least a couple 100 tons, you know, in his super form. And not only that, but he did that with ease. That was too easy for him. So, in terms of durability, or actually, you know what? Let's talk about energy blasts first, because Supersonic does gain the ability to shoot energy blasts, although they're not as impressive as Goku's. The only evidence of how strong Sonic's energy blasts are is he was shown that he could destroy a moon with his fingertip. He can shoot, because he shot 2 energy blasts at 2 moons, and they would have destroyed them if he hadn't got his attack interrupted. So he could at least effortlessly destroy a moon with an energy blast at Supersonic. With normal Sonic doesn't shoot energy beams, so that would be just out of the picture. In terms of durability, Supersonic is pretty much invincible. He's invulnerable to the... I mean, his invulnerability is pretty much one of his best feats, and I think that's what they were getting at in the Vegeta versus Shadow video, right? Because it was about surviving Super Shadow. Because Super Shadow was invulnerable. And that's one of the powers of a super form in the Sonic universe, is their invulnerability. But just to kind of show how invulnerable he really is, he's survived pretty much almost any attack directly made to him from an enemy in super form. He's actually resistant to magic and reality bending powers in his super form. So even a reality bender like Enerjack in Sonic's world was not able to affect Supersonic. The only thing that really ever pushed Supersonic's invulnerability to like the limit was when he was fighting Hyper Knuckles, and they both struck each other as hard as they could, and that pretty much made the entire universe around them collapse. And, you know, they both flew back and rings flew out of them, and they were like, you know. But, so, in terms of durability, Sonic has survived a universe-destroying blow to the face. Now that's you know, and that's his invincibility or whatever being tested to the full, and even that wasn't enough to take down Supersonic. So I'm pretty sure that in super form, it's hurting him is not going to be an issue. So it's pretty much, can Goku survive Supersonic once again, just like the death battle with Super Shadow and Vegeta. So now that you know a little bit more about Sonic's powers, Qaaman, what do you think that, how do you think the battle would fare out, do you think?
Well, before I go into my soliloquy, I would like Duct Tape to come on in here and, you know, go a little bit more in depth in educating the viewers on the comparison you made, because you compared Sonic to the Flash, and Duct Tape, you know a lot about the Speed Force, so can you explain to our viewers how the Speed Force works?
Basically, any speedster can connect to the Speed Force, and they can kind of run um, just really really fast. I think the best Flash was Wally West because he can't be disconnected from it, and I think he can run um, just to the point where yeah he's basically going infinite. It doesn't matter how fast he needs to be. He can always just outrun it. He's as fast as he wants to be.
Well, would you agree that the Flash is probably the fastest person in the DC universe?
Oh, he is definitely the fastest person in the
But
DC universe.
but duct tape for our viewing audience who would probably for the most part be Dragon Ball Z fans. Explain to them what exactly is the Speed Force, because they probably wouldn't know what that is.
I it's kind of like a dimension that just once you tap into it, it lets you, move at really fast speeds. And if the deeper your connection to it, the faster you can go.
Okay.
Now, there's no Speed Force in the Sonic universe of the comics, and what there is a Chaos Force, but that's more or less supersonic. That's how he can tap into the Chaos Force. With the Chaos Emeralds, he can tap into it as supersonic. But speed, when we're talking about pure speed, to get an idea of how fast Sonic can run or how fast he can move just in general, well, it's true that he did stop time for running as quick as he could, but Sonic is actually so fast he can literally run between different dimensions. So he can run so fast that he can tear through different dimensions and end up in parallel universes and stuff.
Well, I I mean you've done a lot of a lot of this debate so far has been educating, so let's actually get into it, because Jesse, there's not much about Dragon Ball Z that I could really tell you that you probably don't know.
Right.
So when I look at Sonic versus Goku, the first thing that I think about is techniques.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay.
I know Sonic to a minor degree because I played a lot of the games as a kid, and
Right.
I also played games like Sonic Hero, and I watched Sonic X a bit. But one thing that really stands out in this debate is Goku has so many different techniques, and I think that really gives him a huge advantage. Now, Jesse, you didn't really mention flying. You said Supersonic can fly, right?
He can fly, yes. Most of his battles are in the air. Yeah, he can fly.
Okay, just making sure.
One of the powers, though, that is worth mentioning, that's supersonic. Mind you, right now I'm just referencing comic Sonic, right? Because I'm if we're gonna just talk about pure canon comic Goku without including any filler or any Dragon Ball GT, then we might as well just stick. We go comic both ways: comic Goku, comic Sonic. For comic Sonic, or Archie Sonic, because that's who the comic is by. He has a power. Well, it's not a power. It's more of a property of him, of Supersonic. What he has, it's called a positive energy aura, and the positive energy aura of Supersonic is what he uses. He can use it to soothe enraged beasts or people that have been powered up by rage or by negative thoughts. So essentially, when he's fighting Perfect Chaos, which is the god of destruction in the Sonic universe, he doesn't actually defeat Perfect Chaos by out-muscling him. He doesn't out-strength Perfect Chaos and beat him into submission. What he does is he soothes Chaos's rage, and that untransforms him back to his base form. So technically, Supersonic never really defeated Perfect Chaos. He soothed his rage, and that made him transform back into his normal state. Now, Sonic has displayed use of this positive energy aura in many situations. And it has shown to not work on some beings that were more magically based, but it pretty much works for all raged beings. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind is the Super Saiyan transformation is essentially a rage-based transformation. It's an anger-based transformation, and it makes me very curious as to would Sonic's positive energy aura reverse that transformation? And if that's the case, then we don't even have a fight on our hands.
Wow.
He would just revert Goku back to his base state. I mean, what do you think about that?
Duct Tape, you wanted to say something?
I did not think of that.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, you know, in your parody video about me, you know, you made it very obvious that, you know, it was a parody. But, you know, when you say all these points, I
Right.
mean, obviously with my limited knowledge of Sonic, I can't diminish anything you've said. But what I can say is,
Well, that, and I've got comic book panels for all these too, so I can send you them. You can put up in the video, just to show the comic
but
panels.
my essential point was, I don't think that it is feasible to do this debate without really factoring in intelligence as well. And I think that plays a big role, because Goku has been proven on multiple occasions to have the ability to fight and stop people who are stronger and faster than him. He's done it many times.
True, that's very true.
So the fact that you're saying that Sonic is superior in speed and maybe superior in strength, even though the scales are kind of complicated because Sonic is a different universe, it still doesn't say that he can beat Goku, considering the fact that Goku has so many different ways to stop people. Now, when you factor in speed, I would say that base form Goku is much faster than Sonic. Would you disagree? I'm sorry, Goku Super Saiyan in his base form is much faster than regular Sonic without Super Sonic. Would you agree with that or disagree?
I would disagree, and I know it's hard to compare because they are different universes, right? And going a certain speed in Sonic's universe may mean something different than going a certain speed in Goku's universe. And while they are both faster than light, and there's been many things to prove that, the thing about Sonic's speed is that in his universe, his speed is so great in his base form that, you know, he can pass between dimensions, he can stop time just by going fast enough. I mean, we're not talking about like just combat speed here. I mean, Sonic can literally dodge like rain coming down. He can dodge lightning. He can, you know, run around the earth, you know, like Gotenks flying around the earth, you know, in his base form. So, I mean, Sonic is, I mean, I would say that if we were to make a direct comparison to any Dragon Ball Z character, he would probably be at least on the same level as base form Gotenks, just because Sonic can effortlessly run around the world within, you know, seconds, you know. I mean, but, you know, not only that, but I mean, he's so much faster than light. I mean, he moves faster than his own shadow, you know. So, I mean, it's tough to compare, right? Because they are two different universes, but when you factor in the fact that Sonic can move so fast that he can literally pass between dimensions, I think that's where I draw the line. I mean, that's just really, really fast.
Well, but Jesse, honestly, I agree with everything you're saying, but the only thing is I don't think you've made enough of an argument to prove that Sonic can hurt Goku enough. And my other question is who's stronger or faster between Sonic and Shadow?
Oh, don't worry about Shadow. Shadow sucks.
No, seriously, like, who's actually stronger, though?
Oh god, Sonic would annihilate Shadow easily.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, Shadow's not even worth Sonic's time.
But, like, what about Shadow's Chaos? I mean, I'm just asking, I don't know. But what about Shadow's Chaos powers? Would that play a factor?
Not really, because Sonic in his super form, Sonic would be invulnerable to his chaos powers to some degree, and well, pretty much to all degree, honestly. And in his base form, I think Sonic would just be a little too quick. But not only that, I forgot to mention Sonic is actually a really, really, really intelligent fighter. One of the points that I wanted to bring up was that Sonic in his base form has shown to fight characters in their super form and win. Characters that should theoretically be equally as strong as him in his super form and Sonic in base form has been able to beat them. One particular example is base form Sonic fighting super form Scourge the Hedgehog, which I can again show you a comic panel of that. But essentially Sonic was technically weaker than him. He still found a way to beat him because Sonic is actually quite a bit smarter of a fighter than most others. Also, Sonic has beaten other versions of himself, like from like parallel universe versions of himself on multiple occasions, including if they're in their super form. So, I mean, if you consider the fact that Sonic has been able to defeat super form characters in his base form on multiple occasions, then you also have to consider the fact that even if Super Sonic transformed back into his base form first, that doesn't give Goku an automatic win. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, and not only that, but I think the whole idea of the Super Sonic form lasting less than the Super Saiyan form, that's stupid, because you don't know how many rings Sonic has. He could have 10 million rings at the beginning of the fight. I mean, or he could not, or, or Goku could, the Super Saiyan 3 form itself only runs out in a minute after use anyway. So, if you factor in both transformations, there's no clear-cut answer saying Super Saiyan transformations always last longer than Super Sonic transformations. So I don't think it would be an all-out survival of Super Sonic, but if the case was, that Super Sonic transformed back into regular form first, he has beaten other characters that are equally as strong as Super Sonic before by using his intellect. So he would be a very smart fighter as well. So that's always something to consider too.
Well, Duct Tape, what do you honestly think as the moderator of this video? What's your ultimate, after hearing, Jesse, inform us about the strength capabilities of Sonic? Obviously, I don't have to educate a lot of you guys on Dragon Ball Z, because most of you probably know the basics. And Jesse, there's nothing new to really tell you. So, Duct Tape, what do you honestly think?
I think, actually, Jesse, is this a good time for that? No? Alright, then I'll skip that. I think that Sonic kind of has the edge here. He really does. I mean, the whole chaos control and infinite speed. I mean, he can send him anywhere.
Anywhere
right?
within the Chaos Force. So he can.
Anywhere
the Chaos
within
Force
the Chaos
covers
Force.
the multiverse, or actually it covers multiple multiverses in the comic world. So he can pretty much send Goku into another dimension, or he can send both of them there, or he can send them into space. Also, Sonic can breathe in space in base form included, so that's always something to consider.
Well, that gives him an advantage over Goku.
Yeah, clear advantage. And how fast can he activate his chaos
Instantly.
control?
He doesn't have to focus it like instant transmission.
Well, I have a little joke question for you, Jesse. What about swimming?
Sonic can run on water in base form, and he can survive underwater. He just loses a little bit of speed. Super Sonic can breathe indefinitely underwater, I'm pretty sure. So, but even if the case is that he's underwater, he could potentially just run his way out of the water. So, I don't know. And it is his like, he can't swim, but he can still move pretty fast. So, but even that aside, I honestly, the only thing that I think would give Goku an advantage is if he actually was able to hit Sonic, because in his base form, Sonic would be out in one punch from Goku. I mean, even in base form Goku, like one punch would just end Sonic right there. But the thing is Sonic is so fast that he would probably never hit him, and I mean, honestly, whether or not, Sonic is in base form or Goku's Super Saiyan 3, or they're both in base form or they're both super, I think in any of those scenarios, Sonic's speed gives him such an advantage, and the invulnerability of Super Sonic really gives him that advantage too, because Goku could just fire off a galactic level energy blast and that still wouldn't be enough, because Super Sonic has survived universe collapsing hits before too. So, and not only that, but like pretty much one hit from Super Sonic should be able to end Super Saiyan 3 Goku right there, because Super Saiyan 3 Goku's durability nowhere matches like his attacking power. Like Goku wouldn't be able to survive his own full powered Kamehameha, don't you think? Like if that hit him directly.
It's that's all dependent. Goku, I never believed in that whole surviving your own energy thing. I think it's all up for interpretation, because I don't think Super Saiyan 2 Gohan could have survived his own father-son Kamehameha. But
no way, definitely
so
not.
I always felt that energy, has a lot more capabilities than
right.
Just punches and kicks. But honestly, at the end of the day, when I look at this debate, I think you did a very good job in bringing up the capabilities of Sonic and how he compares to
right.
Goku. But really, at the end of the day, I think his true advantage would be because of the fact that he's so fast. Goku can never touch him, and the fact that he can breathe in outer space. So if Goku was stronger than Sonic, it doesn't even matter. Now, I do think that Goku does have the strength advantage. Obviously, I don't know enough about Sonic to prove it. I think when you compare the villains that Sonic has fought against. Now, the thing is that Sonic is... Now, I wanted to say this in my in my Kirby and Majin Buu video, that the reason why I think you can use video games as slightly more canon than, let's say, Dragon Ball Z is because Sonic is originally a video game character. So the video games is more canon to him, versus an anime show of Sonic is more of an adaptation that was created afterwards. But really, core to core, the Sonic history does originally take place from the video games, where Dragon Ball Z obviously came from the manga and the anime. So I think when you compare the scales, I don't think Sonic has ever fought a villain anywhere close to Goku, just in terms of fighting capabilities. Now, you made a very good point about Chaos, but on average, would you say that the villain in Sonic is not as strong as the average villain in Dragon Ball Z? On average.
It honestly depends, because if we're talking about video games, the problem with Sonic video games is they're constantly rebooting the series. Constantly. They're constantly changing how strong Super Sonic is and what Super Sonic's powers are. So I don't really like to use video game Sonic as the source of information, just because even though it is the original, the comics have been around just as long as video games, and they've gone through just as many different writers and people that have interpreted Sonic differently over the years as the video games. So honestly, using the video games as the more true source of Sonic is kind of incorrect, just because the games have gone through so many reboots and so many reimaginings and so many different versions of Sonic. It's kind of impossible to get one general idea, whereas in the comics it's always just been the one Sonic, and even though different writers have come through, it's been one long canon story. So that's why I like to use comics Sonic, just because it's just one long continuation instead of several different games that have little to nothing to do with each other. But in terms of video game Sonic, the only problem is if we did try to use him is we just don't know enough about that Sonic, and we don't know enough about Super Sonic in the video games, because in one game he's so fast he's slamming through a whole city like at light speed, and then in Sonic Lost World he's back down to a little jog, and that game takes place after. So it's just not a good... It's so inconsistent that it's impossible to draw any conclusions from the games. When you look at the comics now, his villains in the comics, Dr. Eggman aside, because he's just a kind of a doofus, Dr. Wily, style robot inventor. There are villains in the Sonic comics that are quite powerful. The most of which is Enerjack, and Enerjack is he's a lot like Baby from the Dragon Ball series. What he does is he goes inside a person's body. He's essentially like a spirit that is a part of the Chaos Force that can go inside someone's body, and in their body he can pretty much do anything that the person's body he's inhabiting, their imagination can think of. So he's essentially a reality bender to the degree of the person he's inside. And he went inside Knuckles and fought against Supersonic. And although he had, really powerful reality bending powers, Supersonic was still able to resist reality bending magic. And I mean, he could have. I mean, when you think of reality bending, there really hasn't been any foe like that in Dragon Ball Z at all, ever. Someone who could just think of something and then it becomes a reality, or, I mean, by that logic, I mean, someone could just think Goku as an apple, and then it'll fall on the ground and he'll die. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just, when you really, like, level the opponents that Sonic really has fought, they are actually quite a bit stronger. I mean, I think if we're considering Boo the strongest opponent Goku's ever faced, they said Boo could destroy galaxies, right, in the comics or in the manga, but destroying a galaxy in Sonic is kind of small scale when you have lots of foes that have torn apart universes and have destroyed entire dimensions and have created new dimensions, and just, I mean, it's just a lot bigger of a scale when you really think about it. So, it's just stronger heroes and villains in the Sonic comic universe than in the Dragon Ball Z comic universe, So, and I mean, in that regard, I mean, I'd say just because Sonic himself is, fights stronger opponents and fights, and he himself is stronger, he would just take he would take Goku in that fight. So I can't really think of anyone who in Dragon Ball Z would really stand a chance against any of the Sonic characters, just because the level of opponents that they fight is just a lot higher level than in the Dragon Ball Z universe.
Wow. Well, thank you for educating me. I mean, honestly, this debate's gone on for a while, and I honestly, at the end of the day, we can both agree, Jesse, there's no way to answer the question, because when you're doing cross-universe fights, people can always mention something that exists in their universe that doesn't exist in another universe, and then you can't do a fair comparison. Like what Duct Tape said about the Speed Force. It doesn't exist in, the Sonic universe, but obviously if it did, then Sonic should access it. And Goku should access the Speed Force if it existed in the Dragon Ball Z universe. So, at the end of the day, when you compare all of this stuff, I say to myself, I personally think that Goku could find a way to win. And honestly, this is a fun topic because Goku and Sonic would never even fight in the first place because they're both good guys. But if they did, I mean, you make a good point to say that Sonic's speed is just so much that Goku would just never be able to catch him. Even if Goku was physically stronger,
right,
and went above his limits, Sonic's speed is just too much. So no matter what happens, Sonic would never be able to be caught. And if Sonic can't stop Goku because of Goku's durability and Goku's strength, then at the end of the day, this makes this fight at least a stalemate, and I think we can definitely agree to that. At minimum, it's a stalemate. You obviously support that Sonic could beat him.
Well, my final word on the debate is that when Supersonic fought someone whose invulnerability matched his own, when he fought Hyper Knuckles, both of them were invulnerable, and that meant that they could wail on each other as hard as they possibly could. And when Sonic and Knuckles both struck each other with all the power that they could possibly access from the Chaos Force, it literally destroyed the entire dimension that they were in, or it destroyed that universe that they were in, just because the force of that blow, and then you got to also factor in that they were probably moving at each other at ridiculous, like speeds that couldn't be calculated in the first place. So, I mean, when you factor in that feat, that universe-destroying feat, I mean, even if Goku was Super Saiyan 3, I think Sonic would just one-shot him right there. I mean, Sonic could fly towards him, punch him as hard as he could, and the whole universe would explode. You know what I mean? I mean...
Well, that's a good point, and, you know, honestly, at the end of the day, I'd love to hear what, you know, you guys think in the comment section about this, because, honestly, this has been a very good debate. It's gone on for quite a while now, and at the end of the day, I just think that you make a very good point in supporting that Sonic may be a lot stronger than we took him for as Dragon Ball Z fans, and we gotta accept the different cultures of different animes. Duct Tape, you think that Sonic could definitely beat him. I just think it's... I mean, I've honestly admitted, with the exception of very, very, very weak superheroes or villains, I've accepted that we can no longer do cross-universe fights in terms of having an exact answer, except if it's obvious, like Goku versus Spider-Man. I mean, that's just... I mean, like, that's not even a debate, but you guys essentially see my point, and, you know, I definitely would love to see what you guys think in the comment section below, so thank you guys for watching our... you know, Sonic versus Goku debate. Actually, it really wasn't much of a debate now that I think about it. It's more of a discussion, and I hope you please remember to check out the Mardiculous Network. Please check out the Comic Corner, and please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys.
Wait. Jesse, can I do it now?
Sure.
Krillin stronger.
Oh, and Jesse, one more quick question I have for you before we go. Can you please tell us what Sonic you're basing your information on? I just forgot to say this before I close it out. Are you basing this off of games or Sonic X or what?
The comic, the original Sonic the Hedgehog comic series.
All right, so now you guys know. Take care, everybody.
Have a good day.
See ya.
Krillin stronger.